Hey, what's up, YouTube? Did I ever tell you about the time that I got attacked on YouTube? Yes, it was a few years ago. I see dead people. I was attacked in the comments section of one of this woman's videos. Now, this is a YouTuber. Her channel used to be called LifebyJen, and I was a subscriber. Now, Jen actually weighed over 600 pounds, and the reason I subscribed is because she was always promising to lose weight, and I wanted to see exactly how she was going to go about losing over 400 pounds. But anyway, I did leave a comment. I gave her a few helpful tips years ago, and just for that, I was attacked by a couple of her crazy supporters in the comments section. Now, if you're wondering why any of this matters, well, check out this chart right here. Notice the cost of healthcare in our country is going up and up and up, right? And a lot of that is going to be paid for by your tax dollars in one way or another. Yeah, I mean, it is her choice to be 600 pounds, but you end up paying for it. And why is healthcare so expensive? Well, look at this chart. The biggest slice of the pie by far is actually the cost of hospitalization. Right, so there is a healthcare crisis in this country. Now, here's what it costs to hospitalize the average person per day. But if someone is 600 pounds, it costs a lot more. A lot more resources are devoted to them. Now, Jen did end up in the hospital, and because Jen was unemployed and disabled, the government ended up paying for her hospitalization. Which really means that, they took your tax money and they paid for her. So she made bad choices, but you ended up paying for it. It doesn't seem fair, does it? In the comments section, I want you to give your opinion. Do you think it's fair that your tax money went to trying to save this woman from the consequences of her own lifestyle choices? So the advice I did give Jen years ago, I just told her to watch the foods that have a lot of fructose because a woman of her size has fatty liver disease, and when you eat fructose, it goes right to your liver, and part of it is turned into glucose, goes to your fat, some of it does. All right, so that's all I said. And I also suggested that maybe she could substitute rice cakes for some of the less healthy stuff that she was eating because she was big on chips and crackers. And I just said, bodybuilders, they usually eat a few rice cakes rather than potato chips. And that's all I said. Just a few helpful tips. This is some food that she posted that she was eating. You've got the Tostitos, the barbecue potato chips, the pizza-flavored Pringles. You got Lay's potato chips. You got Ritz crackers, Townhouse Sociables, different types of crackers. So she was clearly addicted to that crunchy stuff, right? So I said, hey, maybe just 2 rice cakes instead of all that. But anyway, Jen did not take my advice, and here is her obituary. She also ignored the advice of countless doctors, nurses, nutritionists, dietitians, personal trainers, and other people in the comments section. And usually her enablers would attack you if you tried to talk any sense into her, right? So she did pass away eventually. Now, an ancient sage once said, if you do not change direction, you may end up where you are heading. And really, I think that quote definitely applies to the life and the death of Jen. People will say, oh, but it's not, it's not fair to blame her. She was mentally ill. She was addicted. Well, yes, she was addicted, but I mean, just because you're an addict, that doesn't absolve you of responsibility for your actions. It's interesting, that guy behind her was her fiancé, and they actually considered themselves Christians. In fact, her fiancé used to post Bible study on YouTube, but a lot of people did dispute his interpretations. But speaking of that, well, Jesus fasted in the desert for 40 days and 40 nights, right? So they just should have emulated him. This is some of the stuff she would eat. It's just So eating disordered. I'm only posting this so that, if there's anybody going down the same pathway as LifebyJen, hopefully you'll be deterred. She thought she was doing keto. All right, this woman suffered from psychotic delusions. This was one of her keto diet meals. So you got bacon, you got an egg, you got melted cheese, syrup, and stuck between two waffles. Right? Well, keto works, but she was doing that. She never lost any weight, so she was not doing keto right. This was another of her keto creations. It's supposed to be fat bombs, basically chocolate and peanut butter. That's why she didn't lose any weight. Now, this was a bit disturbing. This was one of her hospital meals. Now, she claimed it was her fiance's meal, but the fact that she didn't lose any weight in the hospital or keep it off, we know that she was sneaking food in. So your tax money actually paid for her to disobey the doctor's orders. She was supposed to be on a hospital diet, and she actually disobeyed the doctor's orders. Now you might say, well, how can you blame an addict for their behaviors? Well, if it was a meth addict and the meth addict kills your grandma because he's robbing her for his meth money, does that make it okay because he's an addict? No, he's still responsible for that murder. And just because she was murdering herself, essentially, that doesn't make murder any more correct or moral or right. Addiction and mental illness are not a free pass to behave however you wish. She was a victim of what's called the standard American diet. Right? She couldn't eat a vegetable to save her life. What should she have eaten? This is a meal that I ate recently. If you are in serious danger like LifebyJen, like to the point that you're likely going to die within the year, raw vegetables are the way to go, because raw vegetables just don't contain enough calories to sustain obesity in the long term. Here's another meal I ate. It's half a raw salad, right? And then it's got some beets, parsnips, a little bit of pork, some onions. Does this look so bad? She's eating every kind of chip. I'd say go with some vegetables. This is what I look like. I'm almost around the same age as LifebyJen would be. I'm 48. And by the way, I used to be almost 300 pounds. I used to be. Right? LifebyJen, she didn't want to hear any advice from anybody. Well, that's because pride goeth before the fall. She thought she always had her ideas. She thought she had all the answers, didn't want to listen to people who had been there. Well, sooner or later, you either get what you deserve or you deserve what you get, or both. And so it goes, life and death on YouTube. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all taking care of your health.